Well, good morning, Willowbrook. Thank you for joining us for our daily Devo. Have you ever had to do a hard reboot? Maybe your computer wasn't working right and you're told by the tech people, just cut it off and restart it. It happens sometimes with our phone. We don't cut it off many times for weeks and months. And sometimes we seem to cut it off and we need to reset it, do a hard reboot. I have a new Apple Watch and I was going to charge it the other day and it wouldn't charge. And I was trying all these different chargers, all these things. Finally, I thought, man, I need to do a reboot. And so I powered it off, powered it back on, and guess what? It charged as normal. There are sometimes we need to do a reboot. We need to reset. Growing up Southern Baptist, we used to have a lot more revivals, and people would come down and say, I'm rededicating my life. What they're saying is, I'm rebooting. I was going in the wrong direction. I'm changing and going in another direction. And you know, our passage today in Genesis chapter 9, verses 8 through 17, to me is God doing a hard boot on humanity. Remember, God created Adam and Eve and they blew it, and sin reigned in the world, so much so that there was great wickedness. And the only righteous one God saw was Noah. And so God did a hard reboot. He put Noah and his family in the ark. He put the creatures in the ark that he could do a hard reboot. Then he brought a flood, and the flood destroyed all that was. So when the ark reopened, which is where we are in the passage now, and Moses' family goes out, he's saying, I'm doing a reboot. And just as we can trace our lineage back to Adam and Eve, we can really trace it back to Noah when God did this reboot. And one of the things he wanted to encourage them is, guys, understand this is not the normal. This is not going to happen. And so I'm giving you a covenant, a commitment from me. I'm not going to destroy the world as a whole again in a flood. He says, I'm going to give you a picture that every time you can see it, you don't have to be in fear when it's raining, thinking, oh no, it's another flood. It's not going to happen like this again. He gave them the rainbow. And if you know watching a rainbow, a couple of things always present. There's water vapors, usually after a rain. And you always find the sun behind you, casting on there. Me and my wife went to Niagara Falls, and you could see rainbows all over the place because there was so much moisture, so much mist. And when the sun was behind you, you saw all these rainbows. And it was to assure them, I've done a reboot, but guess what? I've not written off my plan. He had a plan for Christ to come and to reconnect humanity, sin that has separated us from God. Now through Christ, our sin could be placed on him, his righteousness on us, and we could be reset into a proper relationship with him. So listen, just practical setting. This is the first full week of the New Year's. Is there any resets you need to do? Do you need to do a reset in your relationship with God? I mean, if you continue the next 365 days, the same as you did the last 365 days, would you be closer to God or farther away? If you don't think you'd get closer, then what can I do to reboot? What can I do to spend time in God's Word, to reconnect at my church, to get in a life group? What can I do? Maybe it's in a relationship, and if so, we have a marriage conference coming up if you're in a Huntsville area that's going to become just in a couple of weeks, and maybe that's where you can do a marriage reboot. Whatever area, maybe there's something you need to reboot, something you need to reset to put you on the right track. And what a great time to do it, the first full week of the new year. Guys, thank you so much for joining us for our daily Devo. We're so glad you're part of this, and I hope you have a blessed day.